Ever get that feeling? You know, you finish talking to someone and you're just completely wiped.
Oh, yeah.
Like someone just hit the off switch on your energy.
Totally.
Well, that's what we're diving into today. All those energy-draining people and situations and how to deal with them.
I like it.
We're taking a deep dive into Surrounded by Energy Vampires by Thomas Erikson.
Okay.
We've got excerpts from the book description and some really interesting Goodreads reviews.
Cool.
And it seems like a lot of people could relate to these energy vampires.
Yeah.
You know, those people who just leave you feeling drained.
Yeah, we all know a few.
And the interesting thing is this book uses this whole color-based personality system to categorize these energy zapping people.
Interesting.
Which we'll get into a little later.
Okay.
But first, let's talk about those vampires themselves.
Let's do it.
The reviews mention several different types, and some of these will probably sound really familiar.
Like what?
We've got the perfectionists, the drama queens, the bullies.
Oh, yeah.
It goes on and on.
Right, those classic types, we've all probably met a few.
Oh, I'm sure.
In our time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So picture this, okay?
Okay.
You get an email for work at 3 in the morning
Oh, no.
about a misplaced comma
Oh, my God.
in a report
Wow.
that's due next month.
That's rough.
That's a classic perfectionist vampire in action.
Yeah.
And according to the book, it's not really about the comma.
Right.
It's more about their need to control things,
I see.
often coming from this place of deep insecurity.
And then you've got that friend who turns every coffee date into a therapy session. The book calls them drama queens.
Right.
And it emphasizes how exhausting it can be to deal with their emotions.
For sure.
And the book suggests that their need for constant attention and validation
Yeah.
can be really draining,
Can be.
even if they don't mean to be mean.
Right.
It's kind of scary how these things play out.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder if there are other ways we're losing energy that are harder to spot.
Oh, for sure. Like, a lot of the Goodreads reviews mentioned having those aha moments
Really?
about being energy vampires themselves.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You mean we can drain ourselves?
Yeah, definitely.
That's kind of wild.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
So, you know, those times when you just spiral, you know?
Negative self-talk, replaying mistakes in your head, worrying about stuff you can't control.
Oh, yeah.
The book calls that being an internal energy vampire.
Interesting.
And honestly, we all do it sometimes.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah,
Like, I've definitely had those nights where I'm up late stressing about something small,
exactly.
and it's probably not even worth it.
Totally. And that's why this book really stresses how important self-awareness is.
Makes sense.
It's not just about spotting the energy drainers around us, but also understanding how we're draining ourselves.
Right.
Taking responsibility for our own energy and figuring out ways to manage it better.
So it's like sometimes we're the vampire and the victim at the same time.
Sometimes, yeah.
So how do we get out of that cycle?
Right.
What did the reviewers say?
Well, a lot of them said setting boundaries is key.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
Easier said than done, though, right?
Definitely. But the book has some good tips.
Like what?
One thing that stuck with me was choosing your battles. You don't have to fight every fight or take on everyone else's problems.
That's a good point.
Yeah, sometimes the best thing you can do is just walk away and save your energy.
Less drama, more energy. I like it. Less drama, more energy.
Exactly.
I can get behind that. Were there any other strategies that people liked?
Yeah, self-care was a big one,
Oh, yeah.
which makes sense.
Sure.
It's not selfish, it's important. You know, making time for things that make you feel good,
Totally.
like reading or going for a walk or just having a quiet night at home.
Yeah, it's like they say, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly. And another thing the book talked about that might seem a little weird at first, taking breaks. Like actually stepping away from situations that are draining you, even just for a couple minutes.
Sometimes you just gotta hit pause.
Yeah.
Like step away from the computer, get out of the conversation, or even just quiet your mind.
Right. Just give yourself permission to disengage and recharge.
It's so true.
Yeah. And the book had some good tips about how to do that without being rude,
I bet.
which I think a lot of people appreciated.
Definitely. This has been really interesting. You know, when we first started talking about these energy vampires, I was thinking more about those really over-the-top personalities.
Right.
But learning about these more subtle ways we lose energy, especially the internal stuff, that's been eye-opening.
It really makes you see things differently.
It does, because once you understand those patterns, you can make better choices about where you put your energy.
Exactly.
So as we're wrapping up our deep dive into surrounded by energy vampires,
Right.
what would you say is the most important thing for our listeners to remember?
I think it goes back to self-awareness. Pay attention to how you feel around different people and in different situations. Right? Notice what drains you and what gives you energy.
That's good advice.
Yeah. And most importantly, remember that you have the power to choose where you focus your energy. Choose wisely.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive into those energy vampires.
It was fun.
It was. And for our listeners, as you go about your day, think about the people you interact with. Your coworkers, friends, family, even that barista who makes your coffee. Who are the energy givers and who might be taking a little more than they can? And what can you do to create a little more positive energy in your own life? Until next time.